ancient monuments made by extraterrestrial ancient aliens when humans came to planet Earth, according to claims. In March 1962, information from Moscow reported that Soviet physicist Alexander Kazantsev intended to film a documentary which would revolve around this amazing hypothesis. Visitors from other planets have landed on Earth at various times in history and of its prehistory. Cameras would photograph various locations around the world, mainly in the Sahara, Peru, Lebanon, and elsewhere. Indeed, in these countries, there are mysterious relics which Kazantsev believed were explained by his case. And let's remember also, about 2500, 2400 BC, even in Asia, where they kept very good annals of various events in China, Korea, Japan, they kept annals of extraterrestrial visitors who came to Earth and gave them the rule of law, philosophy, mathematics, sciences, medicine. And they were very gentle, very knowledgeable, very healthy looking. And they had the Asians, not only in Asia, but ancient Greece and ancient South America and Egypt had recorded these things. Extraterrestrial visitations. And even the Native American Indians, they called them the Anu or the Anunnaki. Now, in the Sahara, specifically in the Tassili Adjer region of Algeria, the Soviet film crew would photograph shocking prehistoric rock artifacts discovered by French explorer and ethnographer Henry Lotte. These unique performances, these artifacts are located in the Jabarin Valley, which in the Tuareg language means the giants. Now remember, a few days ago, I uploaded a video concerning a princess or a queen from Atlantis that had escaped to Algeria, and the Tuareg legend says that she was from Atlantis. She was beautiful and tall, with blonde hair, blue eyes, and she was very loving and gentle and very intelligent and knowledgeable. And they called her one of their goddesses. This is the Tuareg legends of her. Now, so the artifacts located in the Jabarin Valley, which the Tuareg language means giants. Indeed, they depict giant creatures. One of these silhouettes, 6 meters tall, that's over 20 feet tall, which look amazingly like helmeted astronauts. The head, which Henry Lotte spontaneously christened Great Martian God, is round and appears to be enclosed in a kind of a helmet with an opening so as not to obscure vision. However, the Soviet scientist Alexander Kazantsev was not able to confirm positively that this Great Martian God, quote unquote, this petroglyph was the portrait of a cosmonaut who visited Earth 10,000 years ago, the time from which the representations date. And this is a picture of Henry Lotte. He passed away in 1991. Now, the Sahara, after the Soviet crew would visit Baalbek in Lebanon to see up close the famous colossal stone slabs, which were also believed to be the work of alien visitors, although Kazantsev could not be sure of that case. Around 1960, another Soviet scientist, Professor Matest Agrest, asked 5 shocking questions about the roofs of these slabs of the Baalbek stone. He asked, first of all, how people, technically backwards, were able to build this fantastic paving with one-piece boulders, which each of which weighed over 2,000 tons. No modern crane could lift such an inconceivable load. Assuming that these stones were lifted by hand, we would have to imagine crews of 20,000 men, which is practically impossible. After all, no ropes of any kind could withstand such a weight. Second question, what was the use of this giant paving stone, which had to be paved with these unimaginable boulders? The ancient peoples, after all, used to build their monuments high and not to lay them on the ground. Third question, why are there so many tactites in this area, that is glazed stones that contain significant amount of radioactive beryllium. Beryllium isotopes are 1,000,000 times rarer than all the other elements in our solar system, and they abound on the surface of huge red stars. After all, the origin of the Tictites remains an unsolved mystery. One could assume that they are remnants of burned nuclear reactors of huge spacecraft. Fourth question: why is the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, as mentioned in the Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls, remarkably reminiscent of the descriptions of the destruction of Hiroshima? The Bible also speaks repeatedly of, quote, the people who came down from heaven, and, quote, the people who suddenly left for heaven, end quote. Did the visitors of the universe, before flying to the mainland, have previously spent their reserves of atomic fuel after forcing the inhabitants of the area to leave and not to return? Fifth question: where did the people of the cattle breeders and nomads who lived 10 to 15,000 years ago, who did not have perfect observatories or augmented telescopes, derive their captivating astronomical knowledge? Another mysterious creation that Kazantsev wanted to film was, of course, the Gate of the Sun near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, which is said to have been transported there from another planet. It is a gallery dug in the giant monolith, and this gallery is engraved a calendar which divides the year into rows of 290 days instead of 365 days. There are 10 months of 24 days and 2 months of 25 days. This monument seems to be 12,000 to 15,000 years old. Scientists have speculated that the Earth's rotation time around the Sun must have changed significantly over the last millennia. Others argue that such a change would be incomprehensible and left this enigma on the list of the unexplained in human history. And suddenly, the Moscow Academy of Sciences published an announcement about the work of world-renowned and distinguished astronomers Vladimir Koletnikov and Yosef Skulovsky. These two scientists turned the radar waves towards Venus, discovered that this planet revolved around its axis in about 9 Earth days. This fact, together with the fact that the year of Venus is equivalent to 225 Earth days, made Kazantsev remember the calendar of the Gates of the Sun in Bolivia. 10 months of 24 days and 2 months of 25 days give 290 days, which we find in the Inca calendar. How then could the calendar of Aphrodite be known in antiquity? Kazantsev believed that this portico at the Gate of the Sun was built by peoples much older than the Incas, who in their tradition said that their wisdom had been inherited from, quote, the white-bearded and blue-eyed giants, end quote. Alexander Kazantsev, cinematographers, also intended to film a showcase of the Archaeological Museum of Athens, dominated by the highly interesting Antikythera computer camera for the computer device. As we know, it tells about the eclipses and constellations, how far each planet is from each other at any point in time. Now, for a long time, this enigmatic and at the same time masterful complex device, which had been identified by sponges, was considered just an old clock. This miracle of engineering follows the sun in the zodiac. It shows the months of the year as well as the hours of sunrise and sunset of the sun and the bright stars throughout the year. In fact, a second plate reveals the main phases of the moon, and finally the position and motions of the planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter are monitored by a pointer. Kazantsev wondered if this ingenious Antikythera device and versatile ancient Greeks could make this mechanism masterpiece. In addition, the Soviet crew had planned to receive shots from the famous Baghdad Battery, the world's oldest electric battery. In fact, during a modern experiment conducted in the 1960s, it produced a current of 0.54 volts. However, the civilizations of that time, about 2,500 years ago, were not able to conceive and construct such an advanced medium, as far as we know at least. The great German astronomer Heinrich Wilhelm Matthias Olbers first formulated the hypotheses in the 19th century that there was once another planet between Mars and Jupiter. That's where the asteroid belt is now. And that planet once disintegrated for an unknown reason. Indeed, in 1951, it was scientifically proven that 15% of the asteroids circulating between Mars and Jupiter, many of which are 190 to 770 kilometers in diameter, so they're huge, were once a common origin. There were at least 2,000 such small planets during orbiting Mars and Jupiter, once united within a planet that resembled Earth in its composition, they said. Why did this unknown planet explode? Many speculations were made, but Alexander Kazantsev believes that its inhabitants, having managed to reach a very high level of knowledge and achievement, left their planet, which had obviously begun to get sick, perhaps from overexploitation. So after exploring some planets in our solar system and settling their colonies on them, they probably made a fatal mistake or some stupid daring and extreme madness, so they disappeared. Now, Kazantsev assumes that the inhabitants of this enigmatic planet, many call it Phaethon, the planet provoked a giant thermonuclear reaction which was converted from the hydrogen of the oceans and crashed their world into an Armageddon. Are there in fact monuments on Earth built by aliens? This scientific documentary aspired to answer that question or even to approach a part of the truth of these monuments. This was published in a Greek newspaper Embros on March 24th, 1962, and I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.